It's our co-main event of the evening in the V3Fights professional bantamweight division. You just saw the video. Jeremy Lil Rowdy Rogers looking for his first pro win at the age of 39. He's 0-1. He's from Millington. Brian the Law Hall lives in Millington. Rogers from Team Earthquake in the Hit Lab, coached by, you saw him, Kingston Briscoe. He'll have Briscoe and Keon Lucas, Sharon Rogers in his corner. This is a welder by trade, a chicken farmer by trade, but tonight he's trying to stop the law in his return.
He's been calling out Brian for a long time. Brian's been off for over 2 years. He wanted to fight him as an amateur. It never quite worked out. Jeremy is a guy that just wants to fight people. He'd fight every weekend if he could. He's got some new training partners in Keon Lucas, who's a great training partner for him. You see his coach, Kingston Briscoe, behind him. I'm excited to see what Jeremy's got. A lot of people say he's overmatched. It could be the case, but when a guy calls me and says, I want this fight, I need this fight, I want to fight Brian Hall, there wasn't a lot of other guys lined up to take the fight.
Well, now let's say hello and meet Brian the Law Hall.
I've been gone from the cage for about 2.5 years, and now it's the perfect time to come back to show all my fighters, no matter how busy you are in life, you always make time to train. Having Austin in my corner is like a dream come true. You know, I always looked up to him, and now he's helping me like I helped him last fight.
Brian's in the best shape that he's been since I've known him. He's keeping up with these young guns even better than I did. So Jeremy has nothing to lose. Neither really does Brian. Jeremy's going to bring a fight, and he's a very tough opponent. He's very game.
I think Roger's a very game opponent, being that he has so many years of experience and I have the same amount. And by the end of the day, somebody's going to get knocked out, either me or him.
Brian's been around for a really long time, and he is still one of the most exciting fighters to watch. So why not watch it live and get your tickets for V3 and 2.
And the crowd gets fired up as we look at Lil Rowdy, but they're getting ready to say hi to Brian the Law Hall, the first ever V3Fights bantamweight champion as an amateur. He made his pro debut in 2011, has fought for some of the top promotions in the world, including Bellator, and he is back for the first time since 2015, 16-3 as an amateur, 9-4 as a professional.
Really excited and happy to have Brian back. A Memphis police officer. You hear his song is a customized song with some of his radio traffic in the background. You see Austin Lyons there, Anthony Johnson. He recently made the change from Memphis Judo Jiu-Jitsu coaching and training there to UFC Cordova. Calls it Law School MMA, getting that flag folded up. Really excited and an honor to have Brian Hall make his return to the V3 cage.
He's running the show. He's teaching a lot of fighters at UFC Cordova. Still does his boxing thing at the Memphis Police Department boxing gym. As Jason said, he is a Memphis Police Department police officer. He is Brian the Law Hall, coached by Austin Lyons, Michael Cook, and Lorenzo Nathan, cornered by Austin Lyons, Anthony Jones, and Mike Cook. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for this co-main event. Rogers at 39, Brian Hall 35, so two veterans of the fight game, with Rogers well over 40 amateur fights. Brian Hall, 5'5", so he gives away 5 inches of height, but he has that experience. He has been fighting at the highest levels. A Taekwondo fighter, Rogers an MMA fighter. Scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds. Jeremy Rogers, Brian Hall. Let's get it on. Here's Michael Kelly.
This co-main event and professional bout is brought to you by Hydrolite. In the 7-3 5-minute rounds in the professional bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black trunks with the red trim at 5 feet 8 inches. He weighed in at 134.4 pounds. An all-around fighter, representing the Hit Lab and Team Earthquake, and fighting out of Millington, Tennessee, Jeremy Little Rowdy Rogers. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the orange corner. He wears the red trunks with the white trim. At 5 feet 5 inches, he weighed in at 134.8 pounds. A Taekwondo fighter representing Law School MMA in UFC Cordova, and fighting out of Batesville, Mississippi, by way of Millington, Tennessee, Brian the Law Hall.
Huge contingent.
Tons of fans here for Brian. They're so excited to see him return to the cage, as am I.
3 5-minute rounds is what it's scheduled for. Will it go the distance? Brian Hall in that video said it will not. Round 1. Here we go. Now, Rogers put his hand out to touch gloves, and Brian Hall said no thank you.
Brian teaches boxing to the Memphis police officers. Definitely a strong part of his game. A state champion wrestler at Millington Central High School, Millington, Tennessee. Still competes in wrestling with the Police and Fire World Games.
Very active.
Brian's very well-rounded.
And very respected.
Fought for the LFA championship. Was booked to fight Henry Cejudo, who was an Olympic champion. The fight fell through, but not because of Brian.
Rogers very unorthodox here now in a clinch, the two, and they break up. Trying to put on a little bit of a show. Brian Hall wants nothing to do with that. He's all business. Rogers would love to get that first pro win. He backs away from Hall and led with the left there.
See Brian just staying in the center of the cage. Rowdy definitely has a reach advantage, and see if he can use that.
Look how low he keeps those gloves, though. Always moving those hands, trying to be very unorthodox. Hall continues to steam forward. Wild right off the mark by Rogers. Hall very deliberate here, hasn't wasted much energy. Oh, quick right. Saw how quick that hook was. Oh, he nailed him with a knee, and Rogers now gets the back of Hall.
Hall recently promoted to brown belt in jiu-jitsu, so his ground game is also very, very solid if it goes there.
I mentioned 40 fights. Rogers claims to have had over 60 amateur fights, but only one pro fight. He's 0-1. 39-year-old, Hall 35. Forget about the age.
Like I mentioned, Rogers taking fights in places where stuff wasn't sanctioned on short notice, where people weren't reporting accurately, which is a shame, but he's got those fights under his belt and the experience to go with it.
Wild kick off the mark by Rogers. You saw Law getting pretty good leverage on his, coming from that 5-5 frame. There's more fat in a bag of potato chips than there are between these two guys combined. Two guys in amazing shape. See, professional bantamweight division battle here on V3 Fights.
Like you mentioned, Jeremy Rogers, almost 40 years old.
Lead left off the mark by Hall. Rogers trying to frustrate his opponent here early on. Again with that herky-jerky move, misses the overhand right, and Hall comes back with the knee, and then part of his trunks falls apart. I wondered about that, because that's the first time I've ever seen shorts like that. And now Brian Hall takes him off, throws him into the ground.
Well, I'm just glad he had something on underneath. Don't know if I've ever seen a fighter take his shorts off in a fight.
I've never seen that. I've never seen part of his shorts fall apart in the middle of a fight, but it did.
Might want to contact the manufacturer on that one.
Nice quick left hook by Hall. Well, Rogers thought about maybe a takedown. Nice knee from Hall. Another knee, though, from Little Rowdy.
Most likely not going to score a takedown against Brian. Jeremy Rogers has no formal wrestling experience.
Yeah, good strong knee again from Rogers, though.
You know, I can already tell you this has gone longer than anyone's expected this to go.
Oh, there's a big takedown by the Law.
He had a nice over-under position. Jeremy Rogers pushed into him. That's all he needed to get that takedown.
Oh, that was a huge knee. There's another one. They're the best knees of the evening so far that we have seen, because that is a lot of power behind those knees.
There you see
now
Brian
he gets mount.
right in the full mount.
35 seconds, though. 35 seconds here to go in round one.
Trying to posture up. Not sure if he wants to go for an armbar or if he wants to just rain some punches down and punish Jeremy a little bit.
Well, how does Rogers prevent this one from ending here?
Well, he's doing okay right now. He wants to keep Brian close to him so he can't get space in between them and throw some punches down.
Well, only 15 seconds to go in the first round as Rogers trying to survive this ground and pound, which you know is coming. Couple of huge knees from Brian Hall, and then some hammer fists. But it looks like this one will go to a second round. 10 seconds to go. Missed on the elbow. Now he hit on the last two elbows.
That is actually illegal. You cannot stomp an opponent.
And Eric McMahon has to pull Brian Hall off him. And Rogers is...
You see Mike Kane telling him that's illegal. You cannot stomp an opponent.
And I think Rogers knows that.
If Jeremy Rogers is too hurt to continue, Jeremy's going to win via disqualification.
Well, he's up, but he's groggy.
Well, I don't think he realizes the hurt, but...
Well, he looked a little groggy walking back, but that may have been from the punches rather than that. But great observation there, because I didn't know right off the bat that that was illegal until you said it. Obviously, Eric did. There you see some of the action. There you go.
Looks like Eric McMahon is going to take a point from Brian for that, which is the right call. You cannot stomp an opponent.
Well, look, if anybody should know it, it's Brian Hall, right? If anybody should know it. Now, do you believe Jeremy knew that that was illegal?
We put it out at the rules meeting.
Okay, and they had the big meeting right before tonight, and now Eric's over there talking to Rogers' corner with Kingston Briscoe, Keon Lucas, and it's over.
The fight's over, and I think Brian's going to lose via disqualification because of this.
Wow. Well, he was groggy walking back to his stool, but it looked like he was going to continue. But I guess once it was explained to him that he was going to get a victory, it's over.
Brian is going to lose via disqualification, and I don't think people understand that yet.
Does Brian understand that?
I don't think he does, and I don't think the people do. So there's going to be some reaction in this cage after the fight winner is announced, because I don't think Brian understands that when you stop it because of an illegal move, the fighter can't continue. You lose the fight, i.e. John Jones doing an illegal elbow strike in the UFC. The fight was stopped. He thought he won, and he was disqualified because of it.
My question is, when it was explained to Rogers, who looked like he was going to continue, although a little groggy, was he told, listen, you're going to win this fight by DQ, and then he decides, I will not be able to continue?
I don't believe Eric McMahon would tell him that. Just says, hey, can you continue? He's going to lose the fight via disqualification.
Mike Kane is over now explaining this to my partner Jason Lederfy, the Mississippi Athletic Commission representative. We're making sure that what Jason is explaining right now is official. And Eric McMahon is coming over as well to make sure we have this right. Because Brian Hall, I believe, he's posing out there like he won this fight. Did he win the fight? And there's a long explanation being made right now to Jason Lederfy. And I'm not sure if they're going to go the way of Jason. Now, Brian Hall's over here. All right, Jason has just had this explained to him.
So what's being explained to me is Eric McMahon is going to call this a no contest because he did not stop it immediately after the foul. I'm questioning why it was not a DQ, but they're deciding that it is going to be a no contest.
So it sounds like it's a compromise.
It does. So no fighter wins, no fighter loses. It's a no contest. Maybe we're going to have a rematch.
All right, well, we'll get the official announcement from Michael Kelly as soon as Rogers can move over to the center of the cage. He's up on his feet now. I mean, there's no question he was groggy coming back, and he was sitting on the stool, so I shouldn't presume he was ready to continue. Here we see the illegal.
An illegal stomp. You cannot stomp a downed opponent any part of their body. I'm going to talk to both fighters and see kind of what they think happened, and we're going to go from there.
Okay, now they're going to bring the fighters together. Let's go to Michael Kelly.
V3 Legion makes some noise for both of these warriors. What about? At the end of the first round, this one has been judged as a no contest. Once again, it has been judged as a no contest.
All right, so Michael didn't really explain it to the fans out here, so they're a little bit confused, but Jason will do so.
Brian. All right, just to get some clarity on what happened, due to an illegal strike by Brian Hall, the fight has been stopped due to a no contest because Jeremy Rogers cannot continue. So, Brian, it's been 945 days since your last fight. Is this what you expected the outcome to be?
The fans, thank y'all for coming. When you talk about Memphis MMA, my name, my face should be on it. And you'll never forget this night, baby. And that's why I'm here.
Brian, is this a rematch you want to happen possibly June in Memphis?
He's scared. He don't want no more. He wanted a way out, and he found a way out, baby. Nobody go against the law.
Who would come see Brian Hall fight Jeremy Rogers again? Anybody here? Jeremy, he hit you with a stomp. You cannot stomp a downed opponent. You're a downed opponent. It's a legal blow. You couldn't continue. What are your thoughts?
I'd like to thank God for keeping me and Brian both safe during the fight. You're not supposed to make the fight a personal thing, and he kind of did for the fight, but the illegal blow, that kind of showed me who Brian really is. I just wish everybody else could see that.
Is this a rematch you would want?
I'll take it in a minute. Our beginners hit harder than you dirty sucker.
Well, there you go. Who wants to see the rematch? Rogers versus Hall.
What a peculiar ending to this fight. Brian, the Law Hall, in his return to the cage, has not fought in 2.5 years, has been teaching, has been tutoring, and here he comes back against Jeremy Rogers, who at 39 is trying to win his first professional fight. First of all, Hall's trunks fall apart. He takes off the trunks, throws them into the stands. And now you see some of the action. Jason has returned. There's some of these very impressive knees to the rib. And then the full mount right here, which we thought it would probably end, but it didn't. And then it moved on to the illegal stomp. It was about as strange an outcome as you'll ever see.
It was. I mean, it's very plainly an illegal strike. That's what it is. I'm going to talk to the commissioner right now. Give me a second.
All right. Well, we'll come back and have more clarity for you as the commissioner is now talking with Jason Lederfine. In the meantime, we got our main event of the evening coming up. Keep it right here on V3 Fights.